Hi guys, I'm colouring an image from Jade Summer Vampires 2 book, and I'm going to be using Copic markers and Xpress blending card. So guys, thanks for watching again. I've printed my image on Xpress blending card using a grey colour rather than the traditional black line. So I'm coming in and I'm colouring out this skin. I'm using YR000 and I'm just putting this on over the entire area of the skin. I'm actually going to do a couple of layers just to make sure it's nice and smooth as well. So I hope that you do like this image. It is from Jade Summer's new book, Vampires 2. I've done another image as a speed colouring with pencils as well. So this one here, I've decided to just give you the colours that I'm using here and the quick techniques as well. So as I said, I'm doing a layer of YR000 and I'm just coming in and putting this all over the face area. So I wanted to have this image as for her to have a green tinge to her skin. I had somebody ask me the other day if I could do an image with green skin. So I've done it as normal coloured skin, but I've added a green tinge to it. So I've actually run out of marker here again. It seems to happen while I'm in the process of recording videos. So I am going to come along again in a second and just do a second layer of that over the first layer just to get it all nice and smooth. It is hard to see in the camera, but it's not very smooth right now because the marker was running out. So I'm going to bring in some G000 and I'm going to put this in the shadow areas of the skin. So I'm just going to do a light layer and just mark in those shadow areas with that now. So I've just added shading to around the eye area, also underneath those beads that are on her head, and just in the shadow areas on her cheeks and around her nose and things like that. So I'm going to go over this one with some Y000 and just blend that out a little bit further. So once I finish with the yellow here, I'm going to blend over the skin with an E000, just to put in a little bit more of that peachy colour, taking out a little bit of pink, but also lining it up on the eyebrows there because I want to put some pink eyeshadow in there. So I'm just going over that, and I'm just smoothing it over the rest of the skin as well. So I just wanted to get it nice and smooth. So now I'm going to come in and deepen up those shadows. I'm going to use G00 to do that. Then I'm going to go over that with some RV00 to put the pink through. So just before I go to the pink, I'm going to blend out the G00 with some YR000 again, and just go over that to blend it in nicely. So I've got RV00, and I'm going to go over the top of those shadow areas with this one, and I'm also going to put this on the eyeshadow areas and more onto the cheeks as well. So I'm going to start on the eyes. I'm using G09, and I'm just putting some little tiny dashes out from the pupil, just moved in a little bit so you can see. So just some little flecks out from the pupil there, and I'm doing the edge of the eyes as well. So we're going to create some nice intense green eyes for this one. Okay, so once you've done that, I'm going to bring in some G07, and I'm going to just go over that again and just redo some of the lines around the eye as well, and also to thicken up this line around the outside of the eye. So I've created some more little lines on the middle of the eye, and I've also gone around the previous color as well. So I've got YG23, and all I'm going to do is do some little flicks out from the middle section and just bring them out towards the edge. On a couple of the edge pieces there, I have spread this in a little bit just to blend it out a little bit more. But I just wanted the distinct color between the dark and the light in these eyes in particular. So I'm going to use some B69, and I'm just going to put a little bit of this through as well, just to show those flecks a little bit more, and to put a little bit of blue through that. So I've just done some on the side and a couple from the pupil there as well. So I'm using some white gel pen here, but the white gel pen, it really does disappear onto the page once I've finished. So I do come in with that white opaque watercolor at the end, the gouache. So I'm coming in now with C3, just adding some shading into the whites of the eye. So if you ever look at an eye, there isn't actually just a white eyeball, there's always that grey or shaded area there. So I'm putting that in now. Also, I'm going to put a little bit of pink through there as well, because, you know, we've got skin and things like that around the eye as well. So I've got R43 to put that in with. And I'm just going to put a little bit on the eyeball as well, and I'm going to blend all this out again with the colourless blender as well. So we just wanted to try and create a little bit of depth in there and make those eyes look a little bit rounder than they do. So I've got my black marker here. You might just want to use a black liner, that's fine, it's up to you. I'm just going over these areas of the eye that I want nice and dark now. Because I did print it in grayscale, they were grey instead of black, so I've just gone over those now, and my marker actually just leaked there. If you can see on the side there, it did bleed out, but luckily I've caught that and I've taken the lid off the other end of the marker to stop that from happening again. So you can see that it's made it nice and intense, and those spots on the eyes on the middle there definitely aren't showing enough, so I will go over those with the opaque white watercolour in a moment. I'm also going to put that on the tears under the eyes as well. So I'm just bringing in G00 first, and I'm going to put this into the tears, and I'm going to mark them out with that white gel pen as well. So I'm going to come back over these areas now with that white opaque paint. Now the reason that I've just done that now is because the actual white gel pen, the colour was actually coming through it, so it wasn't really bright enough for me. So I've just come back in and I've just gone over these areas now with that just to brighten them up a little bit. I've also put a little bit on the eyelashes there as well. So once I'm happy with the white there, I'm going to move on to do the pearls. So the pearls I decided to do a shiny silver colour, so I brought in some greys to do that with. So I'm going to use some C9, C5 and C3, and I'm just going to gradually change the colour of that C colour throughout that pearl. So I'm going to use the C9 on the bottom layer where the shadow area is, and then I'm going to leave a gap underneath that and leave that clear or white, and then I'm going to blend on top of this color up towards the top of each of those beads and just gradually get lighter. So as I said, I'm going to go from C5, C9, C5 and then to C3. I'm going to also put some of the colour that's surrounding her into those as well, because there is still a little bit of white paper showing on them. I wanted the reflection to be similar colours to the water in her hair and things like that, so I'm going to bring some of that through as well. I'm just blending out at the moment with that C5 just a little bit further and over the top of the C9. So I've got that C3 now, and I'm going to go out a little bit further onto those. So I'll be taking up almost the whole area. I am trying to leave a white thin line around the outside of those pearls so I can bring in some of the other colour that's around her into it as well. I'm also going to use some white to really make those stand out as well. Okay, so I've got G00 and I'm going to bring that in and put a little bit around the white sections of those pearls. I've been doing lots of different things this week. I've actually been colouring up some little colour charts from Sarah Colours, which I will be doing in just a video on just that later on. So it's a little bit of a review of a product that she's brought out. So yeah, hopefully you guys will like that and it'll help you guys out as well. So I'm coming along now with that G00 and I'm just going to put it in little parts of these white sections in each of those beads just to show reflection of other things that are around her onto that. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that now. So once I finish with this G00, I'm going to move to RV00 and I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to put it around the outside areas of the pearls just to give them that reflection and look of being silver there with the other things that are in the background reflecting on them. So I'm also I have done a couple of flip through and review books for Selena Fennick. I will have the first one up, Fairy Companions, in the next couple of days. Also too, I did have a book that I did win from her that I am going to give away to a new patron from now up until the 4th of November 2017. So if you're interested in something like that, please let me know, send me a message. So I am available on Facebook, also Instagram, and you can join our Facebook group. And you can also comment in here as well and I can give you some information there. So I've come into the shadow areas of the skull now and I'm going to finish this area off. I'm going to use the W colours, so the warm greys. I'm just going in with W9 now and I'm just marking out all of those shadow areas on the skull there. So I want them to look kind of rounded, the horns and things like that. So that's why I'm putting in the shadow areas here now. I've been quite rough. I'm not worrying about blending or anything like that either. So I'm just popping some texture in and putting some little lines through it and marking out some areas on there that are already marked out with the artist drawn lines. So I'm just going ahead and doing that now. So I did really like a lot of images in this book. Some of them are really nice. There's some male vampires in there as well, which is good. I will have to do a couple of male colouring pages at some stage because I haven't really done any at all. I'm going to blend this colour out with some W7 and then I've got W5 and W3 and W1. So I'm just going to go down each level. If you don't have that many colours, you don't need it. You could probably just use W9, W5 and maybe W2 or 1. I'm also going to put some brown through it as well. I've got E25 to go through and put a couple of flecks of brown through it as well. So I've got the W7 now and I'm just going over the top of the previous colour and blending this out. Now I've got that W5 and I'm going to go a little bit further out towards the highlight area. Oh, I missed the middle part. Let me do that bit first. Now I've got W5 and I'm coming back in to do that. Now I've got W3 and I'm going a little bit further out, almost finishing off the area now, leaving a little bit for highlight. And I'm going to bring in that W1 to do that, the rest of that section there. So just filling in that area. So I'm actually looking at doing some colouring, online colouring class reviews as well. So I'm going to take a couple of classes and let you know how they are and what's involved in them as well, so that you can make some informed decisions when it comes to doing paid online classes as well. So I've just come in with the E25 then, and I just put a couple of spots of it around the skull just to show some texture and some different colours through it as well. So I'm going to actually start on the hair in a minute, and I'm going to do some brown hair and also put some nice reflections through that as well. So we're going to try and mix it up a little bit and put some colour through there as well. Okay, so I'm going to use E29 and I'm going to do all of the shadow areas. So I'm just lining the image up. You can already see actually at the moment the artist has already drawn them in. At the top of the hair there, there's some shadow areas, and at the bottom of the hair there's some shadow areas. So I'm pretty much going to follow along with that, just putting in my own lines though, because the darker color is going to go over those anyway. But all I'm doing is just putting little lines up towards the middle of that section and bringing them up and down. So we're leaving like a gap in the middle there, so coming down from the top and then coming up from the bottom and leaving the gap in the middle. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that, and I'm just flicking those out towards those areas, making sure I put the shadow area around the skull there as well. So I'm also going to do the remainder of the hair in a similar way. So everywhere where I feel there would be a shadow, I'm going to make sure I put this color into those areas and just flick the lines out towards the other areas. So you can see that I've just done the shadow areas. You can follow along with what I've done. You can slow down the video as well if you want to catch up as well. So just remember the video is in like 1000% speed, so you're not going to be doing it this fast, and slowing it down may be able to help you figure out where I've put shadows and things like that in. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the whole area. Now it does take a little bit of time to go in and mark in all of these areas, but once you've done it you don't need to redo that unless you want to go over those shadow areas again. Okay, so finally finishing after putting in all the shadow areas, I'm going to now use some E25 and go over the top of the previous colour and just drag that colour out a little bit further. So I'm just going over the top of the previous colour and bringing it down further in towards that highlight area now. So I'm going to go ahead and finish off the rest of this hair. So I just realised that I missed the shadow areas on this side, so I'm going to come back in with that E29 and just fill the shadow areas out, and then I'm coming back in with E25 over the top of that again. So when I said I was going to put some colours through, I've decided to put some orange through it. So I'm using YR24 after this colour, and I'm going to bring this through close towards the highlight section, so we'll almost be filling out all of the hair area. And then I'm going to come in with a really, really light brown, which is E21, and I'm going to go over the top of that with this. So I'll just finish this E25 off first, and then I'm going to pop into YR24. So I've got YR24 now, and I'm going to come in and bring that colour through the hair. So you can see that I've left some white areas there. I'm going to come over now with some E21 and just fill in some of those areas now. So just popping it through. Just blending it out nicely. So now's the time to go through and touch up any of those areas that you want to touch up. If you want to deepen up those shadow areas, go ahead and do that now. So I'm just touching up those some areas now as well. So I've got some RVO2, and I'm just coming into the sides of the eyeshadow areas here and deepening them up a bit. I'm also going to do the eyebrows here, so I'm going to bring in the same colours that I used in the hair into the eyebrows. So I'm just coming back in with RV00 just to blend out that RV02 that I used in the eyeshadow area. Just going to go over that again with E000 just to blend it in with the skin. So I'm going to start on the feathers and the headpiece now. I'm going to use some pastel colours through the feathers. I just wanted them to have a little bit of colour through them. They've already got nice lines for texture and things like that. So I'm going to come in with some brighter, more pastel-y colours. I guess they're not really brighter, lighter colours. And we'll fill out the feather areas. So I'm going to use RV02. And I'm just lining down the middle of the feather and going around all of the shadow areas, and then I'm just going to use little flicks out from the center section out towards the outside area. So I'm going to do that on all of the feathers. I'm going to bring a few colors through, so I've got G00, BV00 and B00, and I'm going to use all those colors through and do exactly the same thing I'm doing here. So I've got the G00 now, and I'm coming over the top of the previous color. And now I've got BV00, and I'm going over the top of the previous colour and also into the shadow areas as well. So I've got some B000, and I'm going over the top of all of those previous colours and putting this into it as well. So we're just creating some layers and some texture with those lines that we're flicking out from the edge of the feather. It's very subtle, but it still does put in those colours. So I'm going to work on the gold areas now. I've got E15 to do the shadows of that, and then I'm going to use some Y30 colours. So I've got Y38, Y35 and Y32. I will go ahead and put some highlights on this at the end with the white just to make that look shiny as well. So I'm coming in first with the E15, and I'm just coming into the shadow areas to colour that in now. So I've got Y38 now, and I'm just blending over the top of the previous colour and bringing this further out towards that highlighted section or the white section of the page there. So I've got Y35 and I'm just blending that further out, leaving still a small gap there for the next colour. You can also leave some white space as well, so if you wanted to bring the next colour in and leave a white space there, you could do that also. So I'm coming in next with the Y32 and just blending over the top of the remaining area. Now I will just also put some YG23 through it just to show some of the colours that are in the background through that gold as well. I've also got a little bit of red tinge through there to show some of the pink colour. I'm just randomly putting it in over the areas just to show some different reflections off the gold. So I'm going to go over all of that with the Y32 now. I also didn't know what colour I was going to do the background part of that crown, but I'm also going to fill that in with the gold as well. So I'm going to use exactly the same colours as we've used and put them in the background there on the back parts of the crown as well. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. The only part I'm not going to do in that area is the middle part where I think it looks like a gem is sitting in the middle part of the head there. So we'll leave that section because I'll do that in a green or something like that. So I'm popping through the rest of the crown now. So just finishing off that Y32, and I'm just popping the YG23 now into these leaves here, and I'm just doing them in the shadowy sections and also in the veins of the leaf. So I will go ahead and do this, and then I'm going to blend that out with a lighter green. Got G00, and I'm just going to fill in the white parts of those leaves again. Then we're going to do the gem in the top of the crown as well. YG23 again, and I'm just putting a little bit of that in that top gem. I'm also putting in some darker colors, so I've got the G09, and I'm putting in a couple of spots through that as well. Coming back in with that G00 and just blending over the top of both of those. So we've got some different light reflecting through that one. So we just got to finish up the background area in a moment, and there's a couple of things there that I will put through just to put some details through as well. So I'm going to put some B00 through the background area. So I'm just doing random spots throughout the area. I'm not worrying about blending or anything like that. I'm just going to blend a little bit of this out over the area. Now, because it is light, I'm going to go over it with some other lighter colors, and then I'm going to use a colorless blender to help to soften off the edges on those so that it doesn't look like it's just been roughly put on. So I'm going to go over the top of it now. I've got RV00. So I'm just going in between the sections that I've already done, and some of the areas I'm going over the top of it as well. So I'm trying to put all of these colors through the sky randomly so that it doesn't just look like there's streaks of one color through it, and it should look blended together. So I'm going to bring in some G00 and do exactly the same thing. So any white areas that were left, I'm going to put this through. I'm going to do exactly the same thing through the water as well, but I'm going to add a little bit of blue through that, a little bit of a darker blue through that at the front there where the shadow would be on the water. So I'm just coming in with that one and just blending this out and moving it around the page so that it's sort of in between each of the other colors so that there's no white space left on the page really. So now I've laid down those colours, I'm going to bring out my colourless blender now, and I'm just going to blend over the top of all of those colours and just rub the clear ink through that to help disperse the background colours. So what I'm trying to achieve is a blurred look, and it will help bleed these colours in together without looking like they're just random streaks of colour through the sky now. So I'm going to finish that off. And then I'm going to go ahead and colour the water. The water is going to be very, very similar, so I'll come in at the start, tell you the colours that I'm using. So I'm going to bring in a darker colour to do this shadow at the front of the water. I like the B60 colours because they are a purpley blue. So I've picked B66 to do this area with. So I'm just going into the front where the shadow would have been on the water, and I'm kind of leaving a few of the sections there which I'll fill in with other colour as well. So I'm going into all the shadow areas and where the hair is sitting on the water and places like that, and also where the lilies are sitting on the water also. So I'm going to go ahead and fill out these areas, and then I'm going to blend that out with B63 and just lighten that up a lot at the front there, and then we're going to just add in the colours that we did in the sky into the water in the background. So I'm going to go ahead and fill out this area first. So I've got B63 and I'm going to go and blend this area out now, and I'm also going to put this in the background as well. So now I'm putting in G00. This is the same colours that we used through the sky. So now I'm bringing in some RV00 and putting this into the water as well. I'm going to use some pinks and yellows through the flowers in a moment also. So I'm just going in and randomly putting this around areas around the water there, and also putting some into the darker areas to help desaturate a little bit through that as well. So I'm doing this in also the background areas too. So now I want to bring some highlights over the water. So I'm going to use the actual white pencil for this and just bring in and just smudge a little bit of that out in between these areas, just to show some more light reflection as well as shadow. So I'm using the Caran d'Ache white pencil here. It is my favorite, so I just go ahead and use that. You could use Prismacolor or any other white pencil that will allow you to blend through some of that color without standing out too much. So I'm going in and putting that in now. At the end, I'm going to put some white watercolor paint over the top of that in little sections to show ripples of water that have a glint of light off them. So they will be that as well. So I'm just going to finish this off, and then we'll have a look at starting those flowers at the front. So it did take me a little while to decide what colours to do through the flowers, but I decided to go for similar colours or like colours in the feathers. So I've got some RV02, some RV00, some Y000, G00 and G02. So I'm going to go ahead and fill these out now. So I'm just going into all the shadow areas using that RV02 and just using this as the shadow colour. It is still quite light, but as I said, I wanted to put some of those pastel type colours through to match the rest of her. So I'm blending that out now with RV00. I'm not quite going to the ends of the flowers because we're going to come back with the Y000 and fill the rest of the flower out with that. So I've got some Y000 and I'm just going to use this to do the tips of the flowers here. I'm just coming in over the top of all the colour we've previously done and just blending it out over those white areas as well. I'm going to do this on the other flower also, and then I'm just going to put a little bit of green at the bottom of this one here just to show that's a leaf on the bottom part there. So I've got G000, I'm just filling that in now. I'm going to go over with G02 and just put the lines and the shadow areas in there. So that's our image done. So I'm just going to use some Colourless Blender just to make sure that's nice and smooth through those flowers. As I said, I wanted it really subtle, so I didn't want too much brightness in that area because I don't want those flowers to take away from the main girl in the middle. So after I've done all this, I'm actually going to go in and do some highlight sections. So I'm going to use my gouache. I've got Art Spectrum brand and it's just white. It is opaque. I'm just putting some water in there at the moment. I'm using a small brush to go in and line the areas that I want the highlights on. So I'm putting highlights in areas where there is already highlight colours, and I'm just going along and filling those out now. So guys, we're coming to the end of the tutorial today. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. It was a quick one. I did really enjoy doing it, and I do like a lot of the Jade Summer images, especially the ones from this new book. They have had some brilliant new books come out recently, so check them out on Amazon. I will post a link to this particular book in the description below as well. So guys, thanks so much again, and if you do need to contact me, all of my social media links are in the description below. Also, don't forget about that Patreon giveaway. I am giving away a book to a new patron that does sign up in the next couple of days. So that's only valid till the 4th of November. Okay guys, well, I think that's everything that I need to go through with you. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Thanks guys.